that. All right, I'll start again just so we're on the record. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday, April 6, 2022. And this is the fourth and last in a series of community dialogues to seek out advice and support for the creation of a community-based arts and cultural program inside Orleans Parish Prison. And it's the fourth in the series, and the first one we focused on hearing the voices of folks who were currently or who had been inside, either as people in custody or as we had attempted and didn't quite succeed. It's worth saying out loud. Folks who work there as well. We got some contact through folks who teach in the school there, but one of the things we may want to follow up with in terms of data collection is going to be hearing more from folks who've been working in the adult jail. So session two, we focused on local resources, and we heard from folks who had been working in the prison systems or had been working in ways in their community in New Orleans that they wanted to learn more about what was going on in the prison. So that was Kathy facilitated that one. Tuere facilitated the first one. And then in the last one, Alma Robinson facilitated a regional national discussion with folks who have been doing this work in other places, in other parts of the country, and several of you were here today. Before we go any further, I think this is a great size group, and we should just introduce each other before we get on with this evening's work, okay? My name is Matt Schwarzman. I'm facilitator for this evening, and I'm one of the members of the collective, the Arch Collective. Next.
Is it me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Rodessa Jones, and I'm coming to you from San Francisco, California. I am the artistic director and the founding producer of the Medea Project, Theater for Incarcerated Women, which has been housed at San Francisco's County Jail for more than 20 years now. And I make theater that gives women voices. That's how it started, so they can share their own humanity and their own journey.
Want to pass it along, Rodessa? Each of us can just do
Randy?
that.
I'm Randy Fertel of the Fertel Foundation. I write about improvisation.
Want to choose the next person, Randy?
Oh, Alma? You're muted.
Thanks, Randy. I'm Alma Robinson. I'm the Director of California Lawyers for the Arts, and I've been involved with the Arts and Corrections movement since 2011 with my quote partner in crime, Lori Brooks. I'm glad you're here, Lori. and we continue on this journey. How about you, Lori?
I'm Lori Brooks from the William James Association. The Prison Arts Project is our main thing. And yeah, I'm excited about seeing what comes together today.
Call on someone else?
Oh yeah, how about Tuere?
I just knew I was gonna go last. And Alma forgot to say that she is a part of Arch too, because she is a part of the group.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Tuere.
So my name is Tuere. I am also a part of the Arch Collective, and I am executive director of Barnum by Design here in New Orleans, where we serve people who are incarcerated, Black people who are incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, and their families through 8 elements that I am not about to go all through. I am an educator by training. I'm an artist, and I'm an activist. I have been doing this work, infusing art with education and activism since I was 19 years old, and been working in the prison since probably the same age, 19, 20 years old, the ones that allow me in. And so that's pretty much my spiel. Kathy.
Yeah. Mhm.
Hey y'all, my name is Kathy Randalls, and I am also one of the core advisory team members of Arch Collective. And I come to this work, well, I'm born and raised in New Orleans, and I come to this work through a long time engagement with the Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women, AKA the LCIW Drama Club, which I co-founded in 1996, and that group has grown into another group called the Graduates, which is a performing ensemble of formerly incarcerated women, almost all of whom have come through the LCIW Drama Club. The only one who didn't come through the Drama Club is our most, well, I don't know, they might argue about this, but our most Hollywood famous member, for my Californians in the audience, Fox Rich, who was nominated for Best Documentary Feature last year for her film Time, which is all about, if y'all haven't seen it yet, you got to check it out. It's all about her journey to free her husband from Angola throughout 21 years, a 21-year sentence. And sorry, I'm just taking a little extra time because the Graduates are performing this weekend in New Orleans. So those of you who are in New Orleans, please come if you can. We're at the CAC Friday night at 7:30 and Saturday afternoon at 3. And for the Friday night piece is called Life, and it's all about the women who have been serving a life sentence in Louisiana, some of whom whose names are on a hand-beaded quilt, hand-beaded by Mardi Gras Indians. In that style, it's their first names. It's really amazing and beautiful. We just put it up in the CAC today. And a theater you have performed in, Rodessa Jones.
Yes, I have.
You know the space. And a super special thing about this performance is we're actually going to be zooming in Mama Glow, who served 52 years at LCIW and was released in January. And unfortunately, one of the conditions of her parole is she can't be in the state of Louisiana. But we're going to work on changing that. So she's zooming in from her family, where she's staying with amazing family in Houston. And then on Saturday at 3, we're doing Sacred Journey, which is a culmination of a series of restorative retreats that we hosted for 16 formerly incarcerated women, looking at sacred wellness. And my partner, Setwa Amor Amenkum, was kind of the leader, along with some other amazing artists of that effort. So anyway, all that to say, there's a lot going on this week. And I'm really excited. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to be there last week, but I did watch y'all's Zoom call, and it was great to hear everything that everybody said. And I'm excited about the possibilities in OPP with a new sheriff in town. And I'm passing it to Gene Minere.
Thank you, Kathy. Hey, everybody. I'm Gene Maneri. I run the Ella Project. We're a pro bono legal assistance program here in New Orleans, focusing on arts and culture. Also, of the steering committee members with Arch. And just a quick aside showing, especially some of our California friends, that New Orleans is really the smallest town in the world. Fox Rich, one of our clients at Ella Project, we helped negotiate her initial film deal with. So everyone knows each other. So don't say anything bad about us, because someone will know it and they'll tell us about it, because everyone's 3 steps of separation away. So good to see everybody. And I will pass it along to Scott.
All right, hello everybody. I'm Scott Stobie. I worked with Lori Brooks and William James Association for 3 years out in California, teaching a music program at Salinas Valley State Prison. And now I've been down here in New Orleans for 8 years, and yeah, I would love for something to get going here, and yeah, happy to be a part of it. I'm glad this has all happened, so thank you all. Let's see, who hasn't gone yet? Tease, I don't know. I haven't been.
Eric.
Yeah.
Chris.
All right. How about Eric?
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, happy to be here.
All right. I'm Eric Booth. I live in upstate New York, and I work with teaching artists that many of whom actually find their work in incarcerated settings. I help them prepare for that work. I learn from their work. I'm also got involved in that work around the world. So I have a little bit of global perspective on that. And I'm here because I'm inspired by the possibility that is rising and just care about what can happen there. And let me pass it on to Elomba.
Good evening, everyone. I come to this work with pretty much purpose, vision, and mission. And purpose, I would say, to preserve the God-given inalienable rights of all human beings to be successful, and vision to play my part, in creating a society that offers every human being opportunities to be successful in society. And mission is to show up in all spaces, such as this one right here, legislative courts, communities, everywhere possible to create laws, decisions, projects, policies, programs in every category of human life that permit African Americans to thrive in all of society.
You want to hand it off to Chris?
Hi, I'm Chris Flug. I am very new to this work. I'm a friend of Randy Fertel's, who I've known for a long time. And I'm glad to be part of this group.
Great. Everybody here, just so you know, I recognize everybody here at this point. You've all been to at least one of the sessions, and in some cases, several. So I think we can be informal. I want to say that I think, as I understand, the main purpose of this evening is to try to generate, at least get further along the path of generating a kind of exhaustive list of recommendations. We have not yet really crunched the data. I'm going to show you the data in its current state. We had hoped to, but we're all doing this as we can in little bits and pieces. But and I'm pleased with what we've been able to do. So it's not bad. It's just going to take a little while longer. So we want to share that with you. We want to, if you look in your chat box, hopefully all the way at the top, do you see the data spreadsheet in the chat box?
No.
No. Okay. I'll do it again. Yeah. Here we go. Here's so that you can have that on your screen for yourself. I'm going to share it, but this way you can have it for yourself. And then depending on how nimble you want to be doing multiple things at the same time, if you have not filled out the survey yet, this is the link to the survey, and you should do it while you're on the line with us now. Basically, we're just asking you, what are your top 3 recommendations? And in some cases, as you'll see, we have been able to capture a fair amount of your wisdom, already, but it's actually helpful to us for you to just answer this question directly. What are your top 3 recommendations? And if they are redundant, if they're repetitive with what you've said already, all the better. That's another, it's in there twice. So if it's okay, I'm going to share the, Tuari, I need you to give me back the host so I can share, please. La, la, la. You did it? I haven't seen it.
Got it.
Cool. Thank you. So here it is. So what we did was to, first do an inventory. You'll see on this list of all the different data sources. And that includes these 3 dialogues that we've had already, but also we met with folks through Eric. We were able to meet with folks from the Carnegie Hall Education Program. We also met with folks from here, the Greater New Orleans Foundation. And then we had the surveys that we did. The registration survey asked everyone, if you remember, the registration survey asked everyone, if you were in charge of the jail, what would your first action be? And so we've saved that. We've saved all that data. And as if your comments suggested a recommendation, then I captured it in this spreadsheet here and coded it according to 6 or 7 different themes that seem to really be dominant. And so what I'm going to do is, rather than really spend a lot of time showing this to you in detail, I think what we'd like to do is kind of share with you what the category scheme is, and just kind of see if sharing the categories with you prompts any more thoughts about recommendations, which could be recorded on video here, or if you want to do the survey. Does that sound right, Tuari? I see you nodding. Does that sound right? Okay, cool. Thank you. So I'm trying to show, hopefully you see recommendation themes and theme codes on your screen. These are the 7. What are the values? Number 1, what are the values that should guide the programs? Number 2, what programs should be offered? Number 3, what's the best way to segment and then identify the needs of the population, of the folks who we're taking care of? I'm making it bigger for you, Chris. I hope this helps. I see you squinting. You shouldn't squint. It's not good for you. How to best the needs, how to figure that out. Number 4, how to involve people in custody and the workers in the ongoing process of proposing, selecting, and evaluating programs. So I just called that curation. And several folks mentioned that. And then 5 and 6 are kind of flip sides of the same idea, which is a number of you mentioned over that there needed to be steps taken and anticipated that went beyond the actual program to create the mindset that was going to be necessary for the program to thrive. And that one aspect of that was changing the mindset of folks who are inside the jail, mainly not so much the folks in custody, but the people that work there. And then cultural change needed to happen outside as well, particularly in terms of administrators, but also the general public. And then lastly, it was professional development and the training. A lot of folks commented on the ongoing need for training, not just as an entry point, but as also a therapeutic issue, I guess you would say, self-care issue for the folks that do this work. So those are the categories and those are the sources. I'm going to go back, if you don't mind, to the data analysis real quick, and then we'll open up to questions and comments, Tuari. Okay. So I'm going to change how this data is seen so you can see the whole thing. So this is, and you're seeing it right now in the sequence of chronological sequence. So in the first dialogue, Greg Carter, who's a local attorney, right, said some things about what I thought were values that he thinks should guide the program. And you can see Greg's name here, row 3. Asetwa, Jerome Morgan, who's been inside. And that's what I was calling values. We also got some information on needs and on cultural change. And I think that made sense to me, that for the first session, that we were kind of starting from the broadest, most philosophical angle. I'm going to scroll down, kind of skip over stuff just so we can see. There were exceptions. Elomba, who's here now tonight, talked a bit about how people have to prepare for work in the jail, which is a professional development issue, of course. Now I'm on to the second session, and that was the local folks, the local outside the jail folks. These several teaching artists, and here too, there was talk about values. But then there was also talk about programs. So for example, Lara Naughton has done Compassion, has done a program in Angola, linking up victims and folks who are in custody, who are living there as a resolution. It's a kind of a radical healing strategy. And so she talked about that, and that's under programs, because that was a model that she was suggesting. And as many of you have done, and you'll see when we get into session 3, but you see here, Alma mentioned about how there's this whole national field going on. So, the idea that we need to be attaching ourselves, including ourselves from a professional development standpoint. Now, just to finish, in the last session, several of you were there. We talked about programs, several examples. We also talked about social prescribing, which I put in under changing the culture, because that seemed to me to be a cultural change that was not necessary for the program to operate in the short term, but we all agreed was promising as a concept, at least, for the long-term future of the program, and as a way to align the systems of the jail to support the programming that we want to create. All right, I'm done. Thanks everybody for listening.
Great work, Matt.
Thank
Incredible.
you. CIIS.
Well, I'm sorry that our friend Norris Henderson was not able to join us, because we were hoping to start the discussion with some words about how the process is moving along with the transition team that's working with the sheriff. But some of you are also on that team. Maybe you could give us a context for what we're doing, and then we can launch into some of the specifics a little more. Tueri, you're on that care committee with Norris, is that right?
I am. I've only done one. I shared that role with our outreach coordinator, who has actually been on since me. I get the emails, so they send us the emails or whatever, but I know Matt has been on it more consistently, so I think that he should definitely speak more to it than I can.
Sorry, thanks, Tueri. It's pretty, well run. It's a whole bunch of recommendation gathering, similar to this. Although, it's much more directly tied and has closer, more resources and is more closely tied to the official transition process. I think I mentioned to some folks last week that we took a tour, a number of about 8 or 9 of us, maybe 10, from the care committee went on a tour. And I think the idea is it's supposed to be starting more frequently once Sheriff-elect is installed on May 2nd. May 2nd is the date.
I do know there's been some pushback from folks, because some of the folks on the transition team are actually formerly incarcerated, like Norris Henderson, and they are not allowed into the space, to tour the space. And so we were asked in the beginning, they sent like a little survey to see who can attend the tour. and everything. And that was one of the questions that they asked. And because of that, people were not able to attend. And I know like for the folks who work, who serve with Bar None, that's half of our tribe that's most of them, because most of them are from incarcerated. So they couldn't. So as I've been reading today, because I have 2 members on transition teams, and they'll send the reports. And so folks have been really pushing back. I know when I filled it out, that's one of the things that I said too, that they should be the ones on this tour, because they can give a lot of guidance and direction. They spent time there first before they got shipped off. So, so yeah, so I'm thinking that I'm hoping that she'll change that'll change.
What is the baseline? Are there no arts and cultural programs in the jails at present?
No, just in so Travis Hill has 2 sites, one in youth study and one in OPP, which is now New Orleans Parish Prison. And so the youth studies, and of course, those are for the kids, the babies, and then the other one is for like the older kids. So they're there. They do arts programs in those 2. That's allowed, but that's with the school. It's not with OPP itself.
Yeah, and we took a quick tour of the older youth in OPP, that facility, and Rachel Lewis, who is the chief curriculum officer there, has been part of these discussions and is ready to be interviewed if we want to interview her a bit more. Something I found out, Tuere, that I think you were on that email thread from Kelly from Greater New Orleans Foundation. We found, this is significant, we found out that from Greater New Orleans Foundation that the folks who currently operate Travis Hill who are based in DC, Break Free Foundation, have been asked, I guess, to leave or to give up the contract by the community so that a community group could take it over rather than having an out-of-town group run it. Yeah. But the negotiations were such that the current organization, this is what was new to me, is they're involved in the creation of the community program. So that's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, people will learn what they can from what they did.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my point was, I think it's good news for us that we're at a point of transition for Travis Hill School.
Yeah, and to shed some other light on that point too, like we were talking about, mentioned last week, and like we've kind of been talking about throughout, especially Mama Satawa, talking about understanding the dynamics of things here in New Orleans when it comes to incarceration. Like Matt pointed out, folks are not happy with the folks that are running Travis Hill, but then you're allowing them to create the nonprofit to come in and take their place. Like, who does that? So no, and it's been one travesty after another. Like, we partnered with them for 2 years. My organization, we severed ties with them because of a lot of issues. Racism is absolutely one of them. I know people that actually quit because of that. Most of the folks that work there are white people, and every child in there is Black. Byron Goodwin, who is the overall director now, is born and raised in New Orleans, a Black man from here, went to St. Augustine High School, has a brother who is incarcerated. But other than that, they've had controversy. The second in command had relationships with a child, and you only heard of it one time and it went swept under the rug. So these are the issues that they're having. And then for you to allow these people to then create the nonprofit, that's going no. So when Matt sent the email and was asked, I was like, yeah, yes.
And that's being funded by the foundation, the Greater New Orleans Foundation.
Yeah.
And the transition is.
Yeah, and they have and Break Free, they have money. They have money. They have a gazillion dollars.
Yeah. Well, the other interesting thing we learned from the conversation with the foundation, I don't know how far to take this, but it seemed that they might fund a pilot project for the adult jail. They might, depending on how everything is structured and the recommendations that come out of this process. I think they were eager to hear more, and they seemed very interested in what they call the human-centered approach. I'm still trying to figure that out. What exactly does that mean? But anyway, Randy Fertel and Matt and I were in that conversation with them, and they were
And
interested.
me.
And Twary, sorry. And yes, and they were interested in, I think they were interested in the evidence-based process as we had practiced it in California. Yeah,
I
so-
think human-based process is a human-centered process is a good name, considering the present process is rather inhuman.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They said they were involved in the formation. They are involved in the formation of the new community organization that's going to lead the school. And so it seemed like that was a potential model for them to, if we wanted to, ask for their assistance in developing a community organization to do this work that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So that they would provide technical assistance as well as some funding, probably not all that much funding, but a lot of credibility and knowledge.
And indicated that they could reach out to some national foundations.
Exactly.
One of the things is that at Travis Hill, art is a huge part of Travis Hill. That's what we did when the students, when the teachers were out, and sometimes even when they were there, my staff went in and did art with them. We did 2 huge community projects with them, the Welcome In and the Welcome Back projects that we did at our former office, and they were amazing. I had some issues with it, and then just with David, and so we severed ties, but it has the potential to do amazing things, especially where these children are concerned. But they're just not, the community people in this work are not happy with them at all. As an educator, I've been in school board meetings where people were booing him and rushing him to get off because the kids are failing. Still right now today, they're failing. And it's just a lot of stuff. And I think that that we can provide something more sustainable to them. And one of the things that Kelly spoke to was that, in terms of GNOF, which is the Greater New Orleans Foundation, for those that are not from New Orleans or Louisiana familiar with it, they have little funding for arts. A lot of their funding is focused on the human centeredness, which is around issues of racism. They did, for the past couple of years, they actually been pushing and funding and raising up Black-led organizations. That has been a huge thing for them, especially those that are led by Black women. Richard mentioned that they have like an woman's program or something that he is a part of, but it's all women that they heavily support and they fund. So they're looking for things like that. And I think that even though, art is a huge part of our thing, all of those things, art is all of those things. So it's with us, it's the arts, it's the racial justice, it is the culture, and it is the healing. So I feel like we have something that they can get behind, and it seems like they're interested.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's always good to have the community foundation chipping in, because that's a sign of community support, and it can leverage other dollars and hopefully help the jail imagine how they can spend some programming money and make it sustainable.
Well, they have 82 a little bit over $82 million for this fiscal year. So me too.
Okay, let's help them allocate it correctly.
Who has 82 million?
With human center.
New Orleans OPP.
Okay.
Wow.
And y'all may have already said this, and if this feels like a rabbit that y'all want to yeah, chasing a rabbit that y'all want to school me about later, that's fine, but if it feels relevant, what is the relationship between Travis Hill and OPP, and what is Susan's jurisdiction over Travis Hill? Is there a connection there?
Far
I'm
as
not
I
aware.
know, in terms of okay, so like Dr. Keyshawn Webster runs Youth Study Center, and OPP is not OPP. Travis Hill School is housed inside of that. And then, you know, there's a Travis Hill at OPP as well. And of course, Sheriff Susan is over that.
Hmm.
I don't think that they have maybe little to no, you know, say so. You know, they're more like landlords, I guess, you know, so to speak. They run their thing. They get the kids from there. It's a process they do. From what I remember, it was like an application process or something, and they chose the kids that come there. They can only house so many kids at Travis Hill. I want to say it's 48, but I know in the past they've had like 52 kids there, and it's school. So they have, you know, the basic academia, social studies, English, math, all of those things. But art is really a big part of it as well. And the same at the one at OPP. So it's just the age groups that are different. And I know that the principal at OPP, I can't remember if he's from New Orleans or not, but he's really, really good. He's really good.
Alma, I know that you've done programs in Louisiana. What would it look like to bring some of the work that you're doing into Orleans Parish, and what would be required to make that a reality?
Thank you for the question, Jean. Well, you were there in Baton Rouge or East Baton Rouge, whichever, maybe both, when we did a rollout, and Lori Brooks was with me as well as Toyin Moses from our staff. We did basically an orientation for artists that some of them had been involved with this work before, like, where did he go, Scott?
Yeah, he had to go.
All right. Okay. So I believe Scott was there, right, Lori? And
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
15 artists there, and they were all very excited about it. And we could do something similar in terms of professional development, if that makes sense for you all. And we would include some of you as well, because you're very experienced with this. It's not like we're coming with something brand new. But in terms of professional development and training, Lori has a lot of expertise in that, because she has trained over probably 200 artists in California to do this work. And often I've been—
Odessa's a powerhouse to do training.
Odessa, yeah. And so we have, you know, different kinds of training for different artistic disciplines as well. You know, storytelling is different than songwriting. And you were there when Wayne Kramer last week mentioned that he's also available to help distribute his curriculum. And, you know, we'd be happy to help facilitate and participate in something that could be over a day or 2 days for artists to get this moving.
How does the new sheriff, what is her take on art?
So Susan, this is all new to her.
Okay.
But I have made sure I've taken her to a lot of plays.
Okay.
And she was one of our major resources when we did the play about Yvonne Bechet, the woman who was one of the first African-American police officers in the city. I did it a few years ago. So that's how Susan and I met. And ever since then, she's always said, I'm not an artist, but I'll allow you to teach me about what the arts have to do with what I do. And at that time, she wasn't really a candidate for sheriff, but as soon as she was, I shared with her the comic from the comic about you, Odessa, from the Beginner's Guide,
right,
and said I wanted us to do this if she won. And if I helped her win, she would do it. And a whole bunch of people helped her win. And we're now following through on that. So I can't say that she understands it all, but she is very open to it. And she knows a lot of the people who helped her win are interested in seeing this happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially where it is.
Because I feel so there, coming from San Francisco, California, Martha Graham said people from California believe anything's possible. So, and I've been doing this for like almost 40 years now. But what was one of my saving factors was that Michael Hennessy believed that art changed lives, so this was the sheriff, and I just had to pull it all together and go tell him what I thought I would like to do. Now, inside of that, when we started working with the female offenders, and I had given them prompts, and they were just like telling everything. I mean, they were wide open because of the way we work. That there were a couple of deputies that were sent in to monitor the group, and they wanted me to understand that anything these women said could be held against them. But I had to say, no, you can't come into our group. But it's California, so we were able to say, no, go away. But I'm just, I'm curious as to, when we say art, I hear you say theater, plays, that kind of stuff. Because I've gotten in trouble in Ocala prison. I worked in Ocala State Prison, and it was hard. It was really hard the prisoners are wonderful, but the people in charge, they were locking women down who showed too much interest. They wouldn't let me in because I didn't wear a bra one time. So it was like and the deputy had to say, look, this is a women's prison. Can we get her a bra? I mean, it got to be that ugliness. So I'm just curious as to what kind of fertile field there is. I understand the thing about children, but I just feel like I've just seen so many wonderful, amazing things happen with women, if they are given space and a platform to open their hearts and to talk about where they've been. Yeah, and at the same time, I'm as I listen, I'm just curious as to what kind of pushback would there be in a place that does not have ongoing art programs. So
I would offer that I hear you so much, because like I have never worked in OPP. I have not even ever set foot, I didn't go on that tour. So the place that I have done all of the work I've done is in like an hour away from New Orleans, in St. Gabriel, Louisiana. Um, well, and that has shifted anyway. State prison, which is very different because it's lifers. But the phenomenon, I mean, I think this is true of all institutions. When you have a person, when the gatekeeper of the institution likes you and what you do, the door is open to you. And when the gatekeeper doesn't like you and what you do, the door is closed to you. So I guess part of why I have been investing a lot of time and energy in these meetings and these questions and this design is that I believe that Susan is going to be someone who is open to this, and I even feel like we can design this and say that we want to try this. Like I feel like she's very progressive. She was the independent police monitor for a while. So she has seen multiple sides of our criminal legal system in the city. And I think it was through her experiences doing that she said, I got to do something to help out the jail, because the jail is a mess. So that feels like I feel like we might be given a key. And I just need to give one crazy sidebar, because it's a woman who I wanted to get into these conversations but wasn't able to. Wendy Ballou, who works in the Georgia State Prison, actually has a key. She's an artist. And so I'm just curious if anybody in California has ever heard of anything like that, like an artist teacher actually having keys to some of the gates. Literally.
I had them out at Bruno. When
Okay.
I was working out there. In fact, I still have them. You know, I don't. You know, and nobody ever asked me for them, but no, I have them working at the county jail. Yeah.
You know, and that, I mean, that blew my mind because I just went to visit one day. She's an alternate Roots member. I met her through Roots, and I was like, what? That that happening in the state, in our state, is like unheard of. So, you know, and in many ways, we do see California as the land of possibility, the land where much more progressive than we are in Louisiana. So,
But
anyway.
it's not as much it's not as much as it was, because I have watched Vicky Hennessy, who's no relation to Mike Hennessy. She's since gone, but she became, you know, the sheriff, and she just cut all theater performance out. She got rid of the multi-purpose rooms and said that they were for families visiting, and that we had to work in these little modules near the dorms. And she just said, oh, there was no way that we were going to be able to take women out on the guard and have them perform in theaters. And that happened like boom.
I think
After
it's,
telling me, she told me she loved my program, blah, blah, blah. And then the first time I had an official meeting, this is what I was told. No, that's not gonna happen.
Well, there
Well,
might be some change in the air. I'll just share something that came up from the Art for Justice Fund cohort group that I'm part of.
Mm-hmm.
When we visited Angola prison 3 years ago, we were just so shocked at the nature of the museum. They had pictures of people um, who had been murdered by the state on the wall, his portraits, and it was just a shocking, travesty. Anyway, we wrote a letter. Some of us wrote a letter following up,
Mm-hmm.
and they took it to heart and had a symposium recently. I don't know if any of you heard of this. I haven't seen it. I hope it's available online. It's called, let me see if I can pull up the name, or I'll find it and send it to everybody in chat. But anyway, this about justice. And so if this is coming out of Angola prison, it might indicate that there is a change in terms of the mood of the authorities. And this is something that I think the timing is so good in terms of course, obviously the new sheriff, but also we have a new president. We have a new frame of justice. The work that Norris has done has been really, really interesting in terms of sentencing reform. I'm sorry, not sentencing reform, voting reform efforts, and the conviction by less than a majority of jurors, and all of these changes that have been taking place in Louisiana. I mean, these are really indicators that the public is ready for a different kind of implementation of justice, and more human, more focused on rehabilitation. And so certainly something that I think could, if we can work it right, could be institutionalized. Jean asked what California Lawyers for the Arts could do, how we could participate. We do have a small amount of money for some demonstration projects with evidence-based research that we can contribute at the right time, if that's the direction that the group wants to go. But once that happens, and Matt is such a whiz at getting data and organizing it, that I have no doubt that this could be then publicized, made available to the public, could begin to change public opinion about the humanity of people who are incarcerated, because that's what happened with our legislature and Department of Corrections. So the jail could just be a fulcrum that then sends out messages to the public and to the rest of the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
Like that. I like that, fulcrum. Mm-hmm.
I think when we talk about culture and inside and outside the prisons, it's kind of piggybacking on what Alma is saying too, but also to bring some understanding to it too. again, with New Orleans, with the Jim Crow laws, Napoleonic laws that are still on the books. You know, even with, you know, some, a couple of progressive judges that we have, like Judge Nadi Campbell and Judge Angel Harris, and you know, our DA Jason Williams and other folks, you know, you still have a majority of judges who are not progressive, who are still the commanders in chief when it comes to sentencing. And which is very problematic. When we talk about the 10-2 laws, like for me, I push back on them against it because I felt like you should ask for it all. Don't compromise. Know where we are. Know where you are. They're not going to give it to you. If you don't go all for it right now, you're not, and we didn't get it. So our DA made a call in Orleans Parish to do it, because even after they went to Supreme Court and they got shot down. So they're only going back so far. Other folks have not been grandfathered in. And I know we have people that we work with that's been in there 55 years, some almost 60 years. Zulu, who was one of the members of the Angola 3, will be in there 48 years in October. And so these are things that we are up against. And if you were not incarcerated and sentenced in Orleans Parish, there's nothing that they can do for you at this point. And so when we talk about getting into policy, you can't compromise on people's lives. Demand what you demanded and go get it, because the people are behind you. So when you're talking about, you know, the information needs to go out, I'm all for the reports. They have to be in land, because the people know. Most of them are taking that ride up to Angola religiously to go see their loved ones. They're accepting those calls. They know what's going on. They feel defeated because they don't know what to do. And that's where we can come in at. So when we do this, the information has to be in lay terms. It has to be where they understand. It has to empower them to vote. You know, we got people to the polls to vote for that 10-2, even though it was compromising, they still went out there and they voted. The people drove their vote. And that's how we got what we got. So when we're doing this reporting, and the reporting is for a purpose, like policy, demand what we demand. When we're educating people, make sure it's something they can understand, not talking over their heads, talking to them so they can grasp it, because after that, they're going to run with it. We have to start investing in people and believing in people power. That's how we win. Not the money. The money not gonna, all the money going to do is cause more problems. We invest in our people, educate them, show them how to use the tools, they all to the races. And we've seen this historically, right? So if we give them that report, we have to make sure that they see themselves in it, that they're connected to it. Like you said, what Norris did was amazing with passing that law to get people to vote, that they can vote. So we took that and we started registering people to vote. We probably registered now over the past just 2 years during COVID. We've registered almost 200 people who are formerly incarcerated to vote. And a lot of them didn't even know anything about the bill. So I went print the bill out so they can read it. Like, this is a real thing. You know what I mean? Because they didn't know and they were afraid. So stuff like that means everything to them, and they're gonna drive it home. We got to just believe and trust in them.
Yeah. Well, y'all, I found that link to this virtual symposium. Unfortunately, I missed it. It happened over the last 2 weeks, but I'm hoping that we can get the, anybody that's interested can eventually look at it on YouTube or something. But can you imagine, this is coming out of the prison in pursuit of equal justice, a virtual symposium on race and criminal justice in Louisiana, Reconstruction, convict leasing, Jim Crow governance, and prison reform. So this is certainly something to track and use if it's helpful.
Well, I'm writing it down.
Yeah, so the link is up there as well. I think, do we want to talk more about recommendations, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's an hour now into our meeting, and I think, to me, this has been very stimulating. I'm hoping it is for others. I'm hoping my email box is going to say, I see that there's a bunch of new surveys in my email. No, it doesn't say that. But anyway, I'm hoping that folks will fill out that survey, and even folks, in the collective. I mean, I think maybe we all should do that so that we just have it laid out right there, what each of us thinks our top 3 recommendations are. I think that would be valuable. So I think, at this point, folks are going to do it or not. I encourage you to. I would say,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, just reality being what it is. And I'm happy to just finish up.
How many people are housed in the jail, in the OPP?
800.
800.
I think we as a collective need to spend some time tonight discussing what our immediate next steps are going to be too. So go ahead, Randy.
Could I speak up?
And then Megan.
I had dinner last night with an artist, Dawn Dudeau. Some of you will have seen her NOMA retrospective last month or the last few months. She's a terrific artist, and she approached Charles Fody some years ago in the 80s and developed an Arts in the Prison project. And it seems to me that that precedent is a great lead off when we approach Susan Hutton, that a predecessor of hers, the predecessor before the last idiot, he played the trumpet, and he enabled a project to go forward at OPP. And I tried to get her to this event tonight, but she had a commitment. I think she's a good person for you to talk to, Matt,
Okay.
or some others to get with. And I think that would be a good lead off for any set of recommendations, that there is precedent for this, that though the last guy was deaf to its virtues, there was a predecessor who listened.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Randy. That's good. Yeah.
And just for a little context for those not from the area, it was actually a really good murals program. We actually were,
Right.
a national model for this. And it's a shame that it all went away, but they did a good job with all that. And one of the original Percent for Art projects that New Orleans created back in the early 80s was a book that was funded with Percent for Art money that was created in Orleans Parish Prison. The question, why did it go away? When did it go away? My knowledge, it was starting to wane in the 90s as Fody was on his way out and as the budget was getting cut. And then, when Gusman came in, I think it was barely extant at that time. But I would say in the late 70s, early mid 80s, it was actually running pretty effectively. And they were doing legitimate murals all over the city. But I think, by the time that I got involved in this, that was yesterday's news. And that was when I got out of college, it was late 90s. And I think by then it was pretty much fallen down by then.
So that would be, I think that would be a great piece, Gene, or anybody else that could contribute to it for us to include in the report. So
The murals that were outside of the prison, that's what you're talking about. Okay, because I was about to say,
Yeah.
I know they never had no inside. Okay, yeah.
But
Yeah,
also
okay.
around town.
Yeah,
around
I
around town.
remember.
Exactly.
I remember him. I remember him. Yeah.
There were the Vietnam murals on the prison.
I
And then
remember.
there were some other community-oriented murals.
Yeah.
Megan? Megan, you had your hand raised?
So I think that, and this is inspired by something that Tuere said about, it's not just the higher ups, it's like other people are in place too that aren't going to share those beliefs, right? So I have every confidence that Sheriff Hudson is going to try to follow through, right? But there's still going to be folks on the staff that don't really adhere to that belief, and she can't be everywhere at once. So I'm wondering if one of the things we can impress upon her is the need to communicate to staff members also that this is a priority, and that, maybe even assign a couple of staff members to communicate with the groups and work on getting them in. I'll give you a great example. I actually got a yes from OPP in 2019 to come in with a local author that was the one book focus of that year and do a book conversation between me and that author and give the books to the folks in prison, right?
Mhm.
Got the
What
yes.
book was that?
It was Vengeance by Zach Lazar. So I get the yes, I'm stoked, we're ready to roll. And then dude just ghosts me. And I never heard a word. Why? I don't know if he actually read the book and realized it was dangerous to go in. I don't know. But you know, just it fell off, and it obviously wasn't never a priority. I don't know why I was given a yes in the first place if they were never going to follow through. But you know, we don't want that to happen. We don't want to get a yes from the sheriff and then the folks that are supposed to follow through drop the ball. So the top down priority thing really does need to happen, I think.
One thing that worked out well in California in terms of the evidence-based demonstration projects was that the person who was in charge of the wardens called a conference call and laid out this possibility and asked who wanted to participate in it. And the 4 prisons that put up their hands were the ones that participated in it. So maybe there's a way that the sheriff could offer it as a possibility to certain staff who wants to participate in this. So it's not a demand thing, it's a choice. And maybe there could be some incentives around it as well for the folks that decide to go with it.
Well, yes.
And a picture painted of the benefits to them as well as to the prisoner.
Yes, a safer prison, a better working environment. We've had situations where the guards who were supposed to be monitoring the program sat down and started drawing with people. Have you had anything like that, Rodessa or Dwary, where the folks that work there start to participate in the program?
Well, when I first started doing performances outside, but with prisoners from inside, it was wonderful. The guards that just fell over themselves to be escorting the prisoners to like Lorraine Hansberry Theater and that kind
I
of
remember
stuff.
that. I remember
Yeah,
that.
and then I started auditioning the guards. I said, I want you to come in with your most fantastical guard of fantasy. It was fabulous, but with the sunglasses and, it's just that, and they got more and more and more and more engaged in the work. And I think that they went back with great reports to the sheriff that it was just, it was all revolutionary for them because they're in there all the time. And the people with their heart in any right place is trying to figure out, well, how can we move this forward? How can we change this whole structure? And it's not even about like, getting even as it's just like, how can we be more revolutionary about prisons and the people who are incarcerated, and I felt like those guards, they just loved it, that they were part of a theater process that came out of the jails. Yeah.
And I can only imagine that them, I've known a couple of guards, especially in Angola, but I've never been allowed in Angola, but that they don't feel seen too. You know what I mean? And so, they're indoctrinated, joining this team, and so it's an indoctrination is like you're on this team and they're on that team,
right,
and then because we hear the stories from our loved ones, or we just going with a preconceived notion, as people who want to dismantle and abolish prisons, so we're even forgetting their humanity, so they're not even being seen. So I think that when it came up about programming for them, it allows us to see them, too. And so I think that what y'all were able to do with that was absolutely revolutionary and amazing, because like some of them is just a job for them. For some of them, this is how they feed, their families. In a place like Angola, which is so depressing, it's even hard, it makes my mouth hurt. Angola is a city, like for real. It's the city. There's nothing else there but the prison and the guard. They live there. some of them who choose to, that's where they live at. You know what I mean? And so it's very easy to become indoctrinated by a place like that. You know what I mean? And then of course, I believe in karma and energy. And so, the people from Angola were bought there. So I mean, they being haunted too. So it's all of these things that are in that space, too. So it's a lot with Angola, but what y'all were able to do, I absolutely admire that.
Mm. And I tell you, working in South Africa, Naturena prison, that was phenomenal as well. But it was more, as we're talking, I'm thinking about how do you love the people? Because in Africa still, it's like, yeah, you may have broken the law, but we are not here to, as the gatekeepers, to condemn them. It's like they are still our brothers and sisters, and then you think about the Zulu, which is the largest tribe, so people are largely Black. And I just remember the Women's Festival in Pretoria. I'm in Johannesburg, and we were invited. I was invited to take this group of women prisoners, and the prison said, okay, how are we gonna do it? And we figured out how to take them to a prison near the States Theater. And it was wild. It was just wild. And the buses for their families all came to see them on this major stage and doing this major work. And when it was done, the deputies, who are called wardens, they came up to me and they said, could we do this with you? Could we do this processing? Because we need it. They were willing to admit that they were broken and divorced and drinking too much. And they said, we would like to be able to put our stories on stage, but at the same time, because I was an American, they figured I had all the money and we could not raise the money for me to come back and just work with wardens, that from America, you must have all the funding. So, but one thing I'd like to just add before I take my seat or whatever is what about an auxiliary group of artists, ex-offenders who could become like the sheriff's confidant, or an auxiliary group that like back to this whole
Great
question
idea.
of who would like to do this, and then this becomes a group for her to advise her, to support her, and it could be a mixture of the prisoners who are now artists, or and artists from New Orleans. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yes, I say yes to that, and I also want to share that this is why I'm hopeful about Susan being able to implement some things is just how much of the way of the culture is led from the top, and or the way it has always been. So like one of the things at LCIW is we every year we had to go to a volunteer training, and every year that volunteer training was led by, I'm gonna say it live on Zoom, a motherfucking rapist chaplain who was allowed to have women's, who did it, right? For years before he was caught. And you could tell, you could feel it. And his one of the main things that he said to the volunteers is, beware, every inmate wants to manipulate you.
Wow.
So that was like that was like part of the training, is just look out for and this is how you can tell when you're being manipulated, because you know what, they all just want to get out. And I'm like, yeah, exactly, everybody wants to get out. Sorry, but anyway, like when you have when the culture is saying treat these people as inhuman, then that is what the guards begin to do. And when they're trained to act this way, then they do that. So I do think that offering a completely new paradigm of how to be with incarcerated people, with the staff, is huge. And it reminds me a little bit of arts and education. And like when sometimes as the artist you go in and the teacher is like, whew, I get a break now. And sometimes as the artist you go in and the teacher is like, oh my God, we can build this together and make it higher. So I think that's the goal. And one more thing is that I know that Susan has talked about staffing and is aware that there is some pretty intense corruption on the staff level in the prison that she won't tolerate. So
All right, y'all, should we do another circle? Give everybody a chance for some closing comments in this series. Some closing words. Chris, you're gonna start because you've been here the most of, as Tuari was saying before. You start us off, please. Closing comments.
Oh, wow. I've been here the most because I have the most to learn. And I come at this from a different angle, as I shared with you, Matt, in my survey. I don't have any closing comments. I just want to stay involved with this group and see where it goes and see how I fit in. I am not an artist, but I am a teacher, and I'm interested in writing. I'm interested in that. I shared in the survey that I have a couple of ideas about how writing could be used, but I'm going to shut up and listen to others.
I'm going to ask folks who are not in the collective because we're going to need to debrief. Lori, what are your thoughts?
It sounds like you've got a really wonderful opportunity right now, and some really amazing people in this group that are going to move it forward. And, I'm just really thrilled for that because I know there's always the need. And I don't know, I'm available to help in any way that we can over here in California. But it's all about relationship building and, kind of moving things forward, and patience and persistence is my
I did
mantra.
see that. I did see that in the notes. Yes, I got that. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's been recorded.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Megan.
First of all, apologies for being a half hour late. I had to put those kids to bed. I would say, as not an artist, but as someone who has a nonprofit that is decent at providing resources for lots of different groups, especially when it comes to access to books. I'm ready. Tell me what you need and I got you. And if I can I also have volunteers who want to teach writing in prison for free. So, whatever resources I can bring to the table, tell me what to do, I'll roll.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Right. Thank you. Rodessa, anything last to say for now?
Yeah,
For now?
yes. Politics don't work. Religion is a bit too eclectic, but art could be that parachute that catches us all. And that's from my heart. I've been saying it forever. I believe that. I really do. And we're magicians, artists are magicians, and we're also spiritualists, so we can do this. Yeah, we can change the world. Yeah.
Nakia, I see you're here with us. We're glad to have you. Do you want to say anything before we wrap it up?
I do apologize. I'm in a space where I can't say much, but once again, I am here, whatever I can and need to do. I'm up for the challenge. Just say so. I'm very familiar with the criminal justice system. I've worked in juvenile justice. I'm very familiar with Angola 3, a whole lot. So, and I am a cultural barrier for the city and dancing with hey to So with that being said, without further ado, I have to get off the call, I have to cut off my microphone, but I am here and I'm looking forward to working with you all.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for coming. Yeah. All right, my comrades, any last words from my comrades? Want to say anything?
I have a
Onward.
note from Sarah really quick, then I'm gonna let then Randy can go. So Dr. Sarah Woodard, who was on a call with us last week and I think the week before, she is a New Orleans native. She is a part of Arts Council. Jean knows Sarah, and Sarah runs the art program there, and they're just working in the prisons, and so we have been doing some work together since right before COVID, and then through COVID and through this process, because she had never ever done this before. And what I loved about Sarah was that she called me. She was like, "Swery, they called me to work inside the juvenile prisons, and I've never done this before, and I need your help." And I thought about the humility and honesty of her doing that, because some people don't do it. They just take the money and just go and do it. And so we just got really close since then. But she wants to know how she can support whatever. She apologized. Her son wouldn't go to sleep, and she wants to be caught up. I told her, Madam, make sure she has that. But she says anything that that she can do to help and support, she is in that we got.
Randy?
Not much to add. I'm a big supporter of this project, and I think we've got some great people and some great advisors. And by the way, Chris Flug teaches creative writing. She's a terrific writer, and suppose she's no artist.
All right, everybody.
Whoever gets it.
I just want to say thank you to y'all. It seems like it's a Louisiana, California call tonight, and I really want to thank y'all, Rodessa. It's so great. It's great to see you on a small screen. Rodessa was in New Orleans for the Beyond Incarceration Summit.
That's right. Yeah.
And it would be great to bring you back. And you know, what I said about California, I hear you. And I will also say, you know, we were the capital of slavery in the United States of America, in Louisiana, and we're still doing it. And if we can,
Capital of what?
Slavery.
Oh, okay.
The slave trade. Sorry, to be more specific.
Yeah.
We led the slave trade in the United States.
Angola was a slave plantation.
Yeah. And so, you know, these are ancient ghosts and systems that have been perpetuated, and it is time to cease and desist in the 21st century. And so with the progressive wins that y'all can share with us, wins with a D and WINS as well, because I know that y'all have had a lot of wins. And that's important, you know, when you're looking at something that feels overwhelming. You know, I like with Mama Glow getting out finally 2 months ago, I feel, talking 3 months ago, I would not have felt as hopeful. But like seeing someone get out, it's like, oh my God, okay, we can get 1, now we can get 10, now we can get 100. So, and just to share that I like to wear, Tuere has better language, but I am an abolitionist. I want to end this system, period. So this is, you know, I don't want to make things calm. I want to make things better for the people who are still caught in this system that we are also in a process of ending, because it doesn't work. It's time to end it. And thank you for being with us in this struggle.
All right.
Well, I just have to share that I am a member of a national group that's working to change the 13th Amendment. And I saw Angola up close, and it's still a slave plantation. Rodessa's part of this group as well, Free at Last Coalition. And we're just starting to come out with some videos by some well-known artists and an NFL football coach named Coach Tony Dungy, which we're going to be rolling out to raise awareness around the country of this travesty, because a lot of people aren't aware that our Constitution never did abolish slavery. It abolished it except for people incarcerated. And there's a movement around the country. Certain states have changed state language. California, our lower house in the legislature just unanimously passed a bill to put it before the voters if the Senate also passes it. The Assembly passed it a couple weeks ago. And we're hoping it gets to the voters in November this year to change our state constitution, which was changed in 1974. It said slavery is abolished, but involuntary servitude can still be part of, is still legal for people who've been convicted of a crime. So anyway, there's a national movement around this slavery issue, and I just wanted to share those bits of information with you all since you brought that up, Kathy, because that is what we're talking about. People working for free for the government, for the corporations, and then after 50 some years, when they can't work anymore, you'll find yourself some health insurance and some housing. It's a travesty.
Megan, you raised your hand?
So here might be a thought, but those of you who know copyright law might be able to advise. Could we, as a group, do like a public screening of 13th and really talk about that, like as a kind of a movie viewing / discussion after, to really raise awareness about that issue and what's going on? You did for Black August, Tuere. Were there any like copyright issues you had to go through screening a film?
They care. I'm
always trying not to get sued. Always.
We showed a bunch of documentaries, and it was what it was. I mean, we'll deal with it after. It was Black August. And Black August is about the prisoners who can't place, and more importantly, it's about political prisoners. Rochelle K. McGee is longest held political prisoner in this country, and he's been held captive in California. So we were showing it. And that's just one of the 5 that we showed. So
right on.
I think Netflix was sharing it for free at one point. Situation.
Yeah, I think it's still on Netflix. Yeah, and there's a bunch of good ones, but 13 is really a good one. It's really a good one.
What is the Netflix film? Sorry.
It's called 13th. It's a film by Ava DuVernay.
Right. Oh, right.
Like
sure.
If you really wanted to do a deep dive, we'd do a community book discussion of the new Jim Crow. But
and really here in New Orleans, does a good job at allowing you to screen. You have to call them ahead of time, though. Broadway theater, they allow you to do it, because we were going to go over there and do it. I don't know why we changed our mind and didn't go by them. We just did it at our space at Harmony Oaks, but they allow you to do it over there by them. They yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I know like I'm 90% sure that like if you don't charge to see it, you can do it without copyright violation. I think if we were to charge admission,
Gene had to look into that.
Yeah. I mean, and Alma can brother, it's still public performance, but the thing is, if you use a venue like Broad, they already have all the licenses, so it's not a big deal. It's really just if you try and mount it in your own space that isn't actually set up to do that sort of thing, then things can get a little bit complicated. So the easiest thing to do is just go through someone who already is an exhibitor, and then it should work. Then it's no problem.
Okay, so there you go, Megan.
All right.
We showed it straight from Netflix. That's what we did. All of ours either Netflix or YouTube, except for we showed one of the Angola 3 documentaries, but they were there too. So I asked King to choose the one to show, and he chose the one that to show. And it's so funny because he can't even sit through it, so he went stood outside. Albert stepped through the whole thing, but so. And that's about Angola too. So guys, if y'all wanna, if that's another one that y'all want to throw out there too, I think that it gives, especially from those two, right? Even though Herman is no longer with us, you had King who came home first, and like Kathy said, witnessing somebody come home after serving so much time. I was a kid. I consider myself a kid, in my very early 20s when King came home, and I was there, and because I was not allowed to go in Angola, and somebody sent me some pictures of me outside demonstrating in front of Angola, and they would have the rifles pointed at us, at our head when we showed up. And we were not afraid. We stood out there. We were out there when King came home. Then, of course, Herman came home, and we were just to let you know about Louisiana politics. Herman was he was released, and the warden was like, I'm not letting him go. You know what I mean? Like, who does that? So that's what we're dealing with here, especially in Angola. And then, of course, Baba Albert came home a couple of years ago as well. So that's just the thing here for New Orleans. I am ecstatic about having absolutely our people from New Orleans and from Louisiana on board with this, and then other folks from from all over. Y'all always hear me say that I am a New Orleans baby. I'm Charity Hospital, because I am. One thing about people from New Orleans, we New Orleans wherever we at. I don't care if you live somewhere 40 years, just about I'm from New Orleans. That's just who we are, and I love my city. I'm enduring to my city. I fight for my city. I want better for my city, because we are better. We can be better, and I think, again, it goes back to the humility and the humanity that we have to start seeing in each other and start working toward those goals and making it happen. And we can, if we practice humility, that allows us to open up our eyes and see each other so we can get this work done. And we can't do it without each other. And those folks, like Chrissy talking about, she don't know and she not an artist and all that craziness she talking. It is an artist. You can't tell me you're a writer, you're not an artist. I know, because I'm a writer. That's what I actually went to school for the first time. So you are an artist, and we need all hands on deck when it comes to this work. So however you show up in your art, in your writing form, we need that, Chris. We need everybody on this call and tell somebody to tell somebody. This has to be big. We want, going back to what Megan and I were talking about, we want, Susan to be the breath of fresh air, but we can't wait on her to be that either. We still have work to do around this. And for people like myself, Kathy, some others who've been doing this work literally for 3 decades, or for 3 decades in this work, and seeing person after person after person come home, I cry every time. I'm not desensitized to it. I refuse to be. So this work is a lot of work, but what's going to make us happy is when we can say, you know what, we did it. We did it. Is there's our share right there. That was Matt doing.
Could I say one last thing about Megan's film idea? That maybe what's trying to emerge from this idea of bringing some films to the public is an idea, a prison arts film festival at the Broadway.
That's my idea.
To show Susan that there's community support and to get the community involved in the conversation.
What does Susan think?
Great. Yep, she's on there. Susan, that's her thing, huh?
That sounds amazing. Good evening, y'all. I just wanted to pop in and say hello and say I can't wait to see what you come up with. It sounds like it's going to be great. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thank you. We want to have a package of recommendations for you through the transition committee, and we're very excited about getting started. When do you take office?
May 2nd.
All right. That's right.
Yeah, and for those
in the corner.
For those who can attend, you'll get an invite because we appreciate all your hard work. So if you have time to come on down on May 2nd at 10 a.m., we'll be down at the 2800 Perdido.
Well, Sheriff Susan, I hope you're ready for us, because we ready.
Come on.
You'll be found on Law Street.
What's that?
The future of the prisons will be found on Law Street, Perdido. As Louis Armstrong was. He was found on Law Street.
Backlash, because we know there might be one. So we're gonna work with you, hopefully with the staff at the prisons, at the jails, get them on board and get results, show impact, get that out to the public. Make this thing sustainable.
I'm really, I see a time in the not too distant future when you, Susan, are bragging to people about the artists at your jail, the people who've graduated, the Grammys that they've won, and the Emmys that they've won. You know, that's the case you're
The
gonna have.
exhibits they've had at NOMA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes,
And how
I
their
love it.
lives are now sustained and they're thriving now because of this work, and they're changing other people's lives too.
Right.
Well, I want to throw my film into this film festival because I work with women. I have a film entitled This Ain't Your Mother's Theater Company. And it's all about the process that I put women through. And I think the results are pretty stunning. I think they're pretty stunning, and I would love to make sure people see that. And it's no problem. I will just give it, and I may even come for it. We can watch it.
Okay, Megan, you see what you done started, huh? You about to be in charge of this film festival.
So I already wrote
You
a
and
whole
Randy.
literary festival, and we could just make this a part of it.
Steady. You and Randy, we got about to have a whole
Let's
film
roll.
festival.
Pull out that red carpet.
Yeah, this is gonna be amazing. Yes. And the good thing too about being able to plan it out is that we can probably grab some of the folks who are in the documentary to be a part of it too, like Fox. We have, of course, the A3, they have like 4 different films, and then documentaries. We have some of the folks who were a part of, we showed a film about the Youth Study Center. It was before it was named that. We did a film about that one as well. Last year for Black August. So there are a ton, like you said, a ton of films that we can show and invite the folks to be a part, maybe have a conversation about, during that time and then where they are now. Cause I think a lot of them are, I know some of them are doing good. Like I know the one with Louisiana with the kids in New Orleans, they showed some of them, a couple of them are no longer with us, unfortunately, but some of them are doing well.
There's some films from Angola prison too, about the arts in Angola.
Yep.
Didn't you show something like that, Lori?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name of it. I'll have to go look at my book.
Yep, she dropped that in the group. Yep.
All right, y'all. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've done a lot of good work tonight.
Great work, Matt.
And more to do.
Matt, you
Thank
didn't say
you.
any
Thanks,
words.
Randy.
So Matt, was Susan your words? Was that your? Okay. And Matt, don't forget to get the chat. Our chat was popping tonight.
So, well, it's actually going to come to you because I think it's going to come to you. So you're going to have to send it to me or share it with me or something like that, if you would.
Save it. The 3 dots at the bottom allow you to save the chat.
Oh wait. Oh no, Matt. Remember, I gave hosting back to you, so I don't have the 3 dots.
Okay. All right.
But they're up there. I see them.
I see them.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't see them.
Save chat.
Yep.
Okay.
I just saved it for myself.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, y'all.
I do see them.
Oh, those buttons.
Yes.
Susan, have a great day on May 2nd. I don't think I'll be there, but
Congratulations.
God
Okay,
bless.
Lori put it in there. Follow me down. Portraits of Louisiana prison musicians.
It's going to be a great day and a great day after that and a great day after that.
Yeah, and wait till you see your work coming to fruition, into effect. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be exciting. I mean, we know that New Orleans is the cultural capital of, so many things in America. So many musical genres were birthed there, and the whole spirit of New Orleans is all about culture. So this is just bringing it all around.
Yeah. So hopefully now we can be the one of the architects of societal justice and change for a change.
Right.
There you go.
We want to be known for that. Yeah. Yeah. Susan, we were saying that we're hopeful that you are a breath of fresh air in this, holding this space. We have had, without saying, just some the sheriffs before you. You know, I know a lot of people just, you know, focus on Gusman, but Fody was worse than Gusman, you know, and so to have you in a space, a woman in a space, a Black woman holding this space when the incarceration rates with Black people are extremely high, with Black women being the second highest incarcerated people in this country, speaks volumes to me personally, and I know it speaks volumes to everyone on this call. So we appreciate you. And like we said, we're going to be doing our work too here. We are going to be watching, and, you know, accountability for me is not always first, but it's there because I want to give people, a lot of people, opportunity to be able to do their good work. And so I think that we all are hopeful that you will be able to do that, that you really are a breath of fresh air from what we had previously.
No pressure.
Right? Oh man, I heart you. I appreciate it, and I want to be held accountable. That's why I'm going to put out the data. You're going to be able to hold me accountable, but you know what? I can't go wrong because I'm listening to you. I'm listening to this community. I can't go wrong. As long as I do that, I'm going to stay on the right track.
Yeah. And you know about accountability because that was your role before. So
What I do. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Singing your praise everywhere I go. I mean, have you heard about this woman who was in New Orleans?
The thing that I always tell people, Susan, is what
your shadow is big and wide, and a lot of people are really excited about this model, and I'm using it to tell people, get your people out to vote. Let's not just sit down in the term elections. We have got to stand up. If it takes waiting in line for a day, bring your food, your water, your diapers, your baby. Let's vote, because look what can happen. It's amazing.
Amazing. Oh, truly amazing. I get teary-eyed thinking about it. We had a lot of help on the trail, huh, Matt? People like you jumped in, people like Kathy, people who jumped in and knocked doors, handed out stuff, spoke to people, gave people rides to the polls, did whatever it took to get this change. And so this is truly how we're going to make this change together. No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. Did y'all see what Megan just put in the chat about the plain language ballot? Megan, that's actually a law that they're supposed to do that, and they still don't. Yeah. So
no,
like,
and it's also, oh, sorry. It's also a law that if you are, you know, having trouble reading your ballot, you can ask for assistance in the booth with you.
Yep.
But there's actually such a stigma around being a low literate adult that so many folks who need that help are ashamed to ask for it.
Yeah.
Just like, what if there could just be, I mean, I got a PhD in English, and sometimes I'm like, wait, the double negative, does that mean it negates what it just said? What? Huh?
Yeah. And that's intentional.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's legalese because my sister has a law degree and she explained to me why it has to be written that way. But I'm like, but there's nothing saying we can't have up under the legalese, layman terms.
Yeah.
So
No. There is really a law that says that
is.
the voting language has to be in lay terms, and they don't do it. We during the presidential cycle, bar none, Ashe Cultural Arts Center, Citizen She, we worked together to have an education training around voting, around the language, everything, so people were clear about what they were doing. We taught the ballots. We brought in Ashley from I can't think of the name of it right now. Power Coalition brought Ashley in. We brought KG in from Rethink to educate the youth about the youth. Did an entire did videos and all of that. So the vote from the youth, remember, was extremely wide, something we had never seen before here in Louisiana. But they did that work over the course of 3 weeks, teaching the young people, and then the young people now facilitated these workshops. And so then we did the bike to vote, and we were bringing water, and we were riding on bikes for people to vote. We did that all day long. So it was amazing. But again, it goes back to everybody coming together and working together.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, y'all.
Oh.
Hey, Matt, we're just getting ready for the campfire. Where are you going?
I'm always the guy that goes to bed when the campfire.
Y'all know Matt be up with the chickens.
I am, but I do my duty. I just don't do it at the same hours. That's all.
No, I'm the night owl with a team. I'm up till 3 and 4, and then Matt is up sending emails and texts at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, but I just went to sleep. But that's how we balance it out. He covered the
Yep.
morning shift, and I got the evening shift.
Yep.
Oh, it has been a pleasure being part of this.
Yes, it has.
Yes, it is.
Thing, and we're going to keep going. We're going to keep it.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt, for organizing all these meetings and the tech and all of that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's great
Thank you
work.
again, Sheriff Susan.
Good night, everyone. I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you.
Joy, thanks for popping in on us. It was great.
Yeah. Sheriff, I wanted to ask you really, really quick before Matt closes out. I know you worked during college to support the MOVE organization. Have you ever met any of them?
No, that happened right before I got to school. So
Okay,
we protest about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you never got to meet any of them?
No, I did not.
Okay, so I might have to make that happen for you.
Would love that.
Yeah, I talked to Pam sometime every now and again. Yeah, so we can try to make that. And I talked to Mike Jr. So we should actually show their film during Black August as well.
I'll be there.
Yep.
All right.
So
All right, yeah. Good.
talk to you tomorrow, Matt and
Yes, you will.
and Jean.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.